Hey guys, and welcome back, and thanks for stopping in. Yesterday, our free play over at our main website was Kansas State. They pushed for us, but most people probably got the win in that particular matchup with the spread shifting away from the Wildcats. Again, we've been having a lot of success with our daily free play, and if you're interested in getting today's free play, it's going to be the matchup between Syracuse and NC State, and you can access that over at stumpthespread.com by clicking on the logo in the top right-hand corner of this video on desktop, and we'll also link Stump the Spread in the video description, so we encourage you to go check that out. Also, if you want more of this pick content in video format in the future, you can click that subscribe button, and any thumbs up are greatly appreciated. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 7 matchups and our take again, who's going to be the better bet against the spread in these matchups. And this is going to be for February 7th, 2017. The first matchup I want to talk about is going to be between Florida and Georgia over in the SEC. And if you're interested in knowing what games that I'm going to be talking about in this video, I will put those in the description as well. So heading right into this one, we have Georgia versus Florida. Big game here in the SEC. Florida safely in the NCAA tournament right now, and just a team that's going to be playing for seeding down the stretch. And then you have Georgia, who's in a situation where they really need to put together a strong run down the stretch to have any kind of shot at making the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately for Georgia, in some very competitive games, they've come up just short. For instance, on the road, Georgia went to Florida, and they had their chances down the stretch there, but they came up just short in that one. And then also Georgia at Kentucky, they had their chances as well down the stretch in that one, and they came up just short. This is a Georgia squad that has some talent with guys like Mayton and Frazier, who are two of the better players in the conference, one of the better inside-outside combos in the SEC. Unfortunately for Georgia, they've been unable to come through in games that really would have boosted their resume overall as well as their RPI. Like we said, Georgia was able to push Florida on the road in a very tough atmosphere. And this one, Georgia gets at home in a game that they really need quite a bit more than Florida. The Gators have been putting together some pretty strong results lately. You know, they did blow out Kentucky at home. That was a really great win there for Florida. Could be a little bit complacent here coming on the road, and as a result, we feel like Georgia getting the 5.5 points on their home court is going to be the better value bet in this particular matchup. Moving on down to the Ivy League, we have a matchup between Princeton versus Penn. Princeton's heading into their 3rd straight road game here in just the past 5 days. Fatigue could be an issue with this rigorous travel schedule. Princeton was really fortunate to come through in the end of their last outing on the road against Harvard. Princeton fell apart in that one and allowed the Crimson to get back into the game, and really it looked like Harvard was going to be able to come through there at the end, but just a missed free throw that allowed Georgia to get the offensive rebound, and the stick back was enough to get them the 1-point win in that game in what was a crazy finish. But Princeton coming into another tough matchup here on the road. Penn hasn't been playing up to their expectations in conference, obviously, given by their current conference record. But the Penn Quakers are definitely a squad that has the kind of ability to maybe make a run over the next month to try to get in that top 4 for the Ivy League postseason playoff that's going to be between the top 4 teams in the conference. If they're going to do that, they have to start here today at home. And we do feel like Penn getting the 6 points here, as well as, you know, Princeton's without Henry Caruso, that hurts. Been hurting them, and Princeton just hasn't been living up to their expectations overall this year, even though they do stand atop the Ivy League. Back during the non-conference, for instance, Princeton wasn't very good at covering the spread. But yeah, so this one is going to be a tough matchup here for Princeton, both given their rigorous travel schedule and with Henry Caruso being out, and Penn is pretty much desperate at this point to get in that win column, so we expect a very strong effort from them, and getting these 6 to 6.5 points on their home court. We do like the Penn Quakers to go on to cover this spread. Moving on down to the MAC, here we have a matchup between Central Michigan and Ohio. Central Michigan has been heading in the right direction. They've won 4 of their last 5 and been working their way back up in the middle range right now of the MAC West division. Wouldn't be surprised to see Central Michigan push for potentially the MAC West regular season title, but it's not going to be easy over there in the division that's very clustered right there in the middle to top range. Central Michigan has been a lot better at home than on the road, but this is the best offensive team in the MAC, and then you counter that with that they're the worst defensive team. Central Michigan has the top scoring backcourt in the nation with Racing and Keene together averaging over 50 points together. And then you also have Keene, who's averaging over 30 points per game in what's been a really great year for him. And then they're going on the road here against an Ohio squad that's been a bit less consistent ever since Antonio Campbell went out with an injury. Antonio Campbell being the MAC Player of the Year a season ago and Ohio's leading scorer this season until he was sidelined. Ohio, they're coming off a disappointing upset loss recently on the road against Western Michigan. Not a great result there for Ohio, but then in their last outing on their home court, Ohio was able to put everything together as they went on to beat Akron in impressive fashion, and that's currently the top standing team in the MAC East. A win like that could maybe make Ohio get a bit complacent in here, and Ohio has been, like I said, inconsistent with their results. They've been alternating wins and losses over the past few weeks, and stringing together strong results have kind of not been in what Ohio's been doing as of late. Although we don't see Central Michigan pulling the upset here on the road, getting this many points with their offensive firepower feels like a pretty solid value bet. And then also Ohio coming off a big win. They could be a bit complacent, and as a result, this might be a trap game for them. But on their home court with their home crowd behind them, that should propel them to get the win, although we do like the Chips getting the 8.5 points as the better value bet in this matchup. Moving on down to another MAC matchup, we have Ball State versus Akron. So this Akron squad, they've been a consistent winner pretty much throughout the entire MAC season thus far, but a result like Akron had recently on the road against Ohio isn't all that surprising. Akron, even though they've been able to win pretty much all of their games in MAC play, even within games they've been pretty hit or miss. We've seen a number of games with them this year where they've dug themselves into huge holes and then find themselves climbing out of it and getting the win, or vice versa. They build themselves a big lead and then they aren't able to increase those margins, and then things become a bit more competitive down the stretch. Although we do feel like Akron is the best all-around team in the MAC, definitely would not be surprised to see them fall short in the MAC postseason tournament. And then here they're going against a Ball State squad that is a veteran group. Ball State, one of the popular picks to win the MAC West coming into the year, given the nature of how many veterans come back to this group. A lot of teams have been able to push Akron on their home court this year, and we feel like Ball State has the kind of roster makeup where they could do something similar. We see Akron coming through and picking up this win, but taking Ball State, getting the 9.5 points, feels like a pretty solid value bet in this particular matchup, so we're going to be siding with the road team and Ball State in this one. All right, 3 more games that I want to touch on, starting with an ACC matchup between Wake Forest and Notre Dame. Notre Dame has been trending down over the past few weeks and also haven't been performing as well on their home court as we typically see out of Notre Dame teams. For instance, their blowout at home against Virginia, and then also Notre Dame really struggled recently at home against Duke. This figures to be another competitive test here for Notre Dame, and it'll be interesting to see if they can finally start shooting the ball a little bit better on their home court. They really have had a tough time knocking down their jump shots as of late, which is surprising for a Notre Dame team just based on what we typically see from the Irish historically. Wake Forest, they're in a situation where they really need to start picking up some more resume-building wins. They'll definitely get their chance given that they play in the ACC, and that the ACC is the top conference in the nation this year, so they'll have a plethora of resume-building opportunities coming up for them. Notre Dame has not been playing well at home as of late, and just overall, Notre Dame hasn't been as dominant over the past few weeks as we saw from them earlier in conference play. We feel like Wake Forest can keep things competitive here on the road in a game that they should be very motivated to win. So we are going to take the Demon Deacons getting the 7 points here as the better bet. Moving on down to the Big Ten, we have a match between Illinois and Northwestern. Illinois, a team that's disappointed in the Big Ten this year. Their 3 wins all coming at home, and then on the road, Illinois has some pretty bad blowout losses. And offensively, surprisingly, Illinois' offense has fallen off over the last couple weeks, and they've even struggled to get over 60 points in some of their games. This is a Illinois, team that its makeup requires them to score, at least into the 70s, if not 80s, to get wins, and they just haven't been able to produce those kind of numbers in conference play as of late. And then they're going on the road here against what's been one of the best defensive teams in the Big Ten. So we do not expect to see a Illinois bounce back on the offensive side of the ball in this one. Northwestern is playing without their leading scorer, Scotty Lindsey, but this group is very well balanced on the offensive side of the ball. So losing a power scorer like that, it hurts, but maybe not as much as it would hurt other teams that would lose their leading scorer. Northwestern safely in the NCAA tournament right now, but they don't want to risk anything, and they know that. So heading into every game, we've been seeing really strong effort out of Northwestern, especially on their home court as of late. So we do like Northwestern with this spread being at about 5.5 to 6 points to get the job done against an Illinois team that's really had some very poor performances on the road of Big Ten play and just in general. So siding with Northwestern here to get the job done and to cover the spread at home. And one more game that I want to touch on in today's video. It's a very big matchup in the Big Ten. We have Michigan State versus Michigan. Both of these teams in that bubble range. Michigan State's probably a little safer than Michigan right now, especially given the fact that Michigan State is coming off back-to-back wins that have boosted their RPI and resume. First getting their win at home against Michigan by 8 points, and then they followed that up with a nice win on the road against Nebraska. Then we have the Michigan Wolverines here, who are really squarely on the bubble right now. They're benefited by the fact that they beat, teams like Marquette and SMU on a neutral court early on in the non-conference. But as of late, Michigan has not had the greatest results. For instance, in their last home game, Michigan was upset by Ohio State. Not the kind of result that Michigan needed. It's really been frustrating seeing this Michigan squad this year because every once in a while they'll put up tremendous results, like in their blowout win recently at home against Indiana, but then they have, head-scratching results throughout their resume overall, and just inconsistencies with their offensive and defensive performances. It's really surprising to see this with a team that has so much veteran experience, but we do feel like this is going to be a pretty competitive game today. Michigan State doesn't have the experience that Michigan has, a much younger roster, going on the road in a tough environment against a Michigan team that knows that they're on notice right now and they have to start picking up some more wins. We do like Michigan to defend their home court today and come through as they go on to win and cover this spread. All right, that wraps up the games that I wanted to touch on in today's video. Again, you can head on over to our main website, stumpthespread.com, by clicking on the logo in the top right-hand corner of this video. You get our daily free play over there. Also, our premium bets, we cover all major American sports right now. That would be college basketball, the NBA, and NHL. Our premium picks have been going on a pretty nice run, going 14-6 against the spread over our last 20 plays, and February has shown some pretty solid results thus far. If you're interested in getting all of our top confidence plays, you can become an all-sport premium member at stumpthespread.com. Also, if you want to get more of this pick content in the future, you can click that subscribe button, and any thumbs up are greatly appreciated on this video. That's going to wrap up what I wanted to discuss in today's video, so we will see you in the next college basketball pick video. Thanks for stopping in, and we'll see you then. Bye.